Thank you for all joining me. My name's Jonathan Kay, and from our team, Steve Ward, Danielle Spivak, Ryan Peterson, and several others. Thank you for joining us on this webinar, which is going to be about building your photo library. I'm very excited to announce a new website that we're launching called Photos4Sims, the number 4. I'm going to talk first a little bit about what the point is and helping you to create your own picture library, and then how Photos4Sims may be able to help you. I am recording the webinar. I'll post it later. If you have any questions, please send me a note in the chat window, raise your hand, or use the Q&A, and I'll address them when I see them or at the end. This is going to be fairly quick. I would say less than about 10 minutes. So should be on your way and get the main ideas pretty quickly. So where we start is really saying, if you ask any sim developer, one of the most important things to do is to develop a good set of consistent and quality photographs, because that's going to significantly reduce the amount of time it takes you to make your simulations. If you're always scrambling to get pictures and you don't really have a good base, let's say you want to bring in victims or you want to bring in cars or things like clip art, it's really a worthwhile investment to create a nice photo library of assets that you can reuse. So that's true for simulations, true for any kind of training presentations. And you can do that from colleagues in your department, and I'll show over now, where do you get pictures? So obviously the most direct way is just go out into your community and take pictures on your camera, phone. I'm sure many of you already have a good number of photographs you've used for your training, whether or not for simulations, things that might be interesting types of construction, or just the bread and butter construction that you have in your first due. Obviously your colleagues and internet searches, going on to Google, going to Google Images and finding, when you're looking for pictures of whatever, doing searches for that. Then using, if you're talking about looking at buildings, it may be using Google Street View. Another thing people have recommended is going to real estate sites, sites like Zillow.com or Realtor.com, where you can see properties in your neighborhood very quickly, and they often have a lot of pictures associated with them. Now those are going to be staged typically. They may not be pictures that are appropriate for the kinds of situations that you want to represent, but you're going to find a lot of good stuff there. And then stock photo sites. This is again for thinking about things that you might want to use clip art that you might want to use over and over again. Now, I mentioned here Google Street View to get street pictures, or for overheads using Google Maps or Google Earth. Now, actually, how you collect these and then filter them. So for example, if you want to make cutouts of vehicles or people, typically they're not going to be pre-cut out for you with transparency. They'll be on some background. So you'll have to use some tools to essentially cut out the background. And so this really, how you actually filter and organize your library is going to be the subject of an upcoming talk. I'm going to point out, I was talking the other day with a friend of mine, Frank Lipsky, who runs modernfireinstructor.com. Maybe several of you may already be familiar with him. He teaches about training, simulations, and we talked about doing a free webinar soon on doing a photo preparation. That's such a critical skill. Now, if you go to some sites, they will have images in different web formats. So I think in this upcoming webinar, he'll be able to talk about how you convert these images into things that are usable. And then also tools and techniques for doing photo cropping and removing backgrounds. And again, that's Frank Lipsky at modernfireinstructor.com. Definitely would suggest you check him out and sign up so that you'll be on his schedule for his free webinars. So let's say you get these photos. The next question, though, is really what kind of consistency are you going to get from these sites? And so it depends on what training you need to do, but that's always going to be a question. I might be able to find a picture here or a picture there, but maybe let's say I need all 4 sides of a building. I may not be able to find that, especially for commercial structures, just if I do a general search on the internet or use Street View. Then also, not only in terms of consistency, but technically, am I legally allowed to use them? And this really comes into play when you, if you wanted to resell your simulations or you wanted to use them kind of outside your department. So these questions, we started thinking, why isn't there a site where we could actually have people share photos, both commercial and non-commercial. And so in that process of thinking about what would that site look like, we decided to also say, how are you going to organize your library? So we came up with this kind of very high level general categorization, and you're going to have yours maybe a little bit different depending on the types of responses in your area. But we kind of divide our pictures into having sort of asset categories. These are things that you can kind of pick and choose and stick into a whole bunch of different scenarios. Things like damage and debris, or equipment, tools, ladders, hose lines, certain HazMat equipment. Interiors, there's no reason, whether commercial or residential, you can have a set of interiors that you reuse. So that way you can go out and take pictures of different buildings, but then have your interior views easily just retrievable from your library and use them in a variety of scenarios. So, get your bedrooms and your hallways and bathrooms and kitchens and living rooms and things and be able to reuse those. So the asset category also might include people and responders, vehicles, PPV fans, rail cars, and you'll come up with all different kinds of things that you may want to have that you could bring in as clip art. Now, in terms of actually structures, the obvious distinctions between commercial and residential. And so under commercial, we sort of thought about having big box and high rise hotels, and a large, small, medium commercial, maritime, restaurants, transportation. Each of these things, the idea is we're creating a structure so that when we find pictures we want to use, we can stick them in the right slot and share them with other people in our department, so that it minimizes the amount of time we have to look for photos and they have to go get new photos. In sort of a residential category, we just sort of broke it into whether it's a single family, multifamily, or some high density. Of course, you could create more categories, but we just wanted some sort of starting point. And then there can be some special purpose categories like trench or confined space or wildland, or other types of things that might be specific for your first do. Now, once you're in each category, you also will likely want to break those down as well. For example, in terms of apparatus, you may have here aerials, engines, ladders, medic unit, miscellaneous unit. So the idea is, as you find pictures, it really is extremely worthwhile to create a structure to store them, so that then when you're creating simulations or your colleagues are creating them, you can share pictures and make it really easy just to pull from your cache and as you create them. So the more pictures you have, especially from a consistent number of pictures, let's say if you go out, you want to have an A, B, C, and D, or you sort of set certain ground rules. And then you have your organization. You can use your computer's window structure just to organize your pictures, and that way it makes it much easier. Now, we recognize this need, this sort of unfilled need. We saw all these places for where you can get individual pictures, and maybe a couple pictures. There are some fire photo sites which sort of have pictures in fires, but nothing really we saw that could help the typical fire officer, training officer with consistent photo sets that you could use for simulations and training. So that's why we're very happy to announce today we're opening up a new website called Photos4Sims, and that 4 is the number 4, so it's PHOTOS, the number 4sims.com. This has come from also your suggestions and surveys, and the whole point of Photos4Sims is to be starting as a stock photo site for fire and safety instructors to find relevant, affordable, and quality packages of photos, and then things that are built on tops of photos like simulations or other training material, and really with as little hassle as possible. So what we've done is to organize the photo packages that we have, and this is going to be a growing number. So I say it's now available. If you went to photos4sims.com, you would see the site, and we have about 35 packages there right now. I'll show that in a moment. But we started our categories with those categories that I suggested a couple minutes ago: basic asset, commercial, residential categories, and then subdividing. Now, we only really have about 35 packages now. We have, I think there's a couple thousand right now in the over all those packages, but we are very eager to continue developing this out. We have a number of more packages that we're kind of in the pipeline. So I'm going to now show you what does this look like. So if I now go over to Photos4Sims.com, you'll see here what we have is we have some basic menu, but key thing over here is we have categories where you can actually say show all categories. If I show all categories, you'll see here it will load up that that graphic I showed with the different assets and the subcategories. And I can click, if I were looking at, let's say, big box, I could just click on big box, or I could click on commercial. I'll click on commercial. And so all the photo sets that are tagged as commercial will show up down below in little cards. And you'll notice we have some photo sets are free, some are different. We have different prices because what we're doing is really collecting photos from other people as well as our own photos. So that's I'm gonna get in a little bit later about how, if people have their own photos, how they might participate. So these show you what the different categories, how they're tagged. If I want to look at a package, so let's say, for example, a large commercial furniture store that I'm looking at now. All I do is I click on that card, and now it gives me more information. It shows me a big kind of banner image, and then it shows me some example thumbnails. So in this one here, since this is a pretty extensive package, it says here 70 photos, interior and exterior views. So if I click on these pictures, these thumbnails, it's example images included in package. It will show a little thumbnail, and you can kind of scroll through and see the types of pictures that are included. So these, like here, we're in some sort of attic or some sort of service area on this furniture store, which is not typically what you're going to see online. So these are some interesting photos, and you can create a whole variety of different simulations based on these photos. And so you have the ability as well to add reviews, add comments, and then at the bottom of each of the package pages, you'll see similar packages. So based on the categorization, you might want to explore. So in this case, since we did it as commercial, here a lot of the commercial other packages are showing up. And then we give a little bit more information about which supplier created it. Very importantly, if you would like to get notified when new packages are uploaded, and we're going to be doing that very soon, please click on this, and we'll make sure to keep your email handy when we have new packages that we will announce. So if I go back to the home page, you'll see here we have new packages. These are the ones that we've most recently added. For example, a set of cutout firefighters in action, or urban Northeast single families. So there's some row homes that happen to be around my area. Some icons. We have Apparatus, a very nice pack of engines, ladders, aerials, all sorts of different types of units. Here's high-rise apartment buildings. So motel, which is free. And that actually, the free one here even includes a SimsUshare simulation. So kind of our idea with this is that you're going to be able to have these photos, and enterprising people may want to create simulations, and we can add those to sort of an enhanced package. So at the bottom here, then we also have an area for most popular packages. So we kind of rate them based on purchases, based on which types of, what are the must-have types of packages. And that way you can look here and see, for example, responder apparatus. Here's accident and bombed out vehicles. And this one is, you can see 13 sets of cars. I'll click on that one. Accident and bombed out vehicles, 13 sets of cars and trucks is 60 pictures with various perspectives. So here, box truck, a car on jack, car on the top, rollover, delivery truck, golf cart, propane truck, post-car bomb vehicles. So these are things you can pull out and just stick into your own scenarios, put them onto your local streets, and make scenarios that are relevant to your first do. So I definitely say you want to, if you haven't, you want to be able to get notified when new packages come out. So that's where on the right-hand side, there's click here to get notified. So now the question is, this came up, obviously we're not the only ones with packages, and other people who have their photo sets. So if you, on the home page, if I go over to the right-hand side, about halfway down, there's two important areas on the side. One says request a package, and the other says submit a package. So if you have some photos that are interesting, you think would be relevant, we would love to, if you would, to submit a package, and then we can see if we can include it on our site. And again, this is a commercial site, so we're not looking just for free stuff. If you do have things for free, we would love to post them for free. So make it as well a community site. But we're also looking for, if you have some really interesting photos and want to be able to sell them to other people, this might be a little side gig. We have right above submit a package, it says request a package. So if I click on request a package, this is now where we have a page which has an area where you can vote on different suggestions, and you can add your own suggestions. So we know that this site is going to be expanding greatly over the weeks and months to come. So, and we want to know what kind of pictures you'd like to have. We have a lot in the pipeline that we're preparing, but if you, let's say, oh, I really need pictures of this or that. And for example, here, someone has added what we need pictures of people and victims or roadway pictures. And on this request a package page, once you've logged in, you have to register for a free account. When you log in, you're able to vote. You're able to also enter your own request. So I strongly encourage you to check out Photos4Sims.com as you're looking. If you have questions about your own photo libraries, we're more than happy to talk about that as well. And I'd say I think we're going to need to do a separate webinar on how to prepare your photos. But as we're talking about in the beginning, having a really good set of photos is going to be critical to making the building of simulations as easy as possible. And hopefully this Photos for Sims could help you. And if you need some photos and just don't have the time to go out and take them or find certain kind of unique situations, I would definitely say check out Photos for Sims. We'd love to hear your what you'd like to have on there, so and as well your potential contribution. Please email us. So if you want to contribute, go in and submit a package, and I'll actually head back over to show you what submit a package looks like. If I go, this is request a package. I'm going to go back up to the home screen and say submit a package, and you'll see here it's just going to send us an email. It kind of we ask you a couple questions about the package description, kind of what price you'd like to set it for, and then we will contact you. So I really appreciate your attention with this. I see we have one question I'm going to go to. I'll answer the question. Let's see. So Matt is saying, what format is best for pictures to be in? JPEG, JPEG or GIF? For pictures that are rectangular, I mean, in the sense that don't have, I should say, pictures that don't have transparency. So backgrounds, we can accept JPEG, TIFF, PNG. I think JPEG is good because it has generally the smallest file size, and we'll be distributing them as JPEGs. When you have transparency, let's say, for example, a car that you're putting into a scene, you're going to want to cut out the background, and we'll talk about what tools you can use and techniques for that. And those, when you have transparency, we would suggest PNG files, which is Portable Network Graphics, PNG, Papa November Golf. GIFs can do transparency, but they're more limited in terms of colors. So I would say for general pictures, we also, with these picture sets, we try and preserve the original pictures, which may be very high resolution, and then we try and provide a set of pictures that are more appropriate, smaller pictures for the simulations. It's when that extra space is just basically wasted. So we will actually scale them down, or you can prepare to scale them down. We can do some processing to make it most easy for you to be able to submit. Really curious to hear what people would like, and then also with your own photo sets, what you might be able to share. So let's see, a little bit more than 10 minutes on what I was thinking about, but hope that has been useful for you. I'm going to, let's see, I've got maybe another question. Let's see, oh no, I guess there's another question. Oh, we're done with that. No, that seems to be the last question. So I certainly appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining me here. Really excited about this. We've been working on this project for more than 6 months, and it's really great to be able to release it. And now I know we're just getting started. So I'm eager to hear your comments, hear how we can make it better, how overall we can just make the simulation creation experience easier for you.